Elon Musk is an untreated drug addict, South African born.
Elon Musk is untreated drug addict. Is it really true? Untreated drug addict? Untreated and also drug addict. So she's saying this based off what is publicly known about Elon Musk, what he disclosed on X, that he's been taking ketamine. He was actually questioning an interview with Don. Let's have a listen.
Listen, I'm not asking you anything that anyone else hasn't asked you about your controversial stuff that you tweet. You post a lot of controversial stuff. Is that considered blowing off steam?
Well, I guess I do enjoy using the platform. I mean, I do call the X platform the PvP, or player versus player platform. So in video games, there's player versus like environment, where you're not playing against other people, and then there's PvP, which is like hardcore. You're actually playing against other people, and
But that's blowing off steam for you.
yeah,
Yes.
it is to some degree, not always. I mean, obviously, I use it for to post jokes, to post, sometimes trivia, sometimes things that are of great importance.
So you do a lot of it at night, like late at night. So when you're doing this, are you sober when you do it?
Almost
Are
always,
you
yes.
under the influence of anything?
No, I don't drink. I don't really. No.
But you've admitted that you have a ketamine prescription.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's that for?
Well, I mean, it's pretty private to ask somebody about a medical prescription, But I think it's something I'd say, like, there are times when I have sort of I don't know, like a negative chemical state in my brain, like depression, I guess, is or like depression that's not linked to any negative news, and then ketamine is helpful for getting one out of a negative frame of mind.
Do you feel like you ever abuse it?
I don't think so. If you use too much ketamine, you can't really get work done. So I have a lot of work. So I'm typically putting in 16-hour days. That's normal for me, and it's rare for me to even take off a weekend day. So I don't really have a situation where I can be not mentally acute for an extended period of time. Like I can't really get wasted because I can't get my work done.
Do you ever worry that this may get in the way of your government contracts and clearances, and also and Wall Street as well?
Well, from a standpoint of Wall Street, what matters is execution. Are you building value for investors? Tesla is worth about as much as the rest of the car industry combined, from nothing. So that's pretty good.
You talk about your ketamine use and depression. You also have said, and
The reason I should say, the reason I mentioned the ketamine prescription on the X platform was because I thought maybe this is something that could help other people. That's why I mentioned it.
So this is an example of unfair criticism. Elon Musk disclosed that he suffered from depression in an interview, as you've heard. And he also disclosed that on X about the depression, what he's been using to help him with his depression. He mentioned ketamine. So for the media to say he's a drug addict, just because he's using a medication prescribed for a disease, it's not a fair criticism, it's a personal attack. You see a lot of these unfair criticism in the MAGA, Royal MAGA and the MAGA that's type. The left side also do it as well. This one, it's how they do it. What is ketamine actually? Ketamine is it's a medication that is used to treat to induce and maintain anesthesia. That is the primary use for it. After many research, it has been put as a medication that could be used, not primarily, could be used for depression in other countries. There's another form of medication of this ketamine, which is the spray that people use for depression. It works by blocking many receptors in the brain, but for depression, we're talking about NMDA receptor, where for pain, it would be blocking some of the descending monoaminergic pain pathway and opioid receptors as well. It's very useful as an induction and maintaining anesthesia. That is the primary use of it, with research and evidence that showing some people could benefit who are refractory from other medication that are traditionally used for depression. So people who are resistant to a traditional medication for depression, doctors couldn't look at prescribing this spray, ketamine spray. Okay, so the side effects, of course, it will be if you're using it, abusing it, misusing it, would be what they're describing, what Dawn is saying there to him, that, not being alert, being, hallucinogenic. It doesn't mean those side effects wouldn't occur to him. It could actually impair people's cognitive functioning. Okay, that is one of those side effects that for long-term use. Short-term is those hallucination. So as you say that he wouldn't be able to work, which is true. You wouldn't be able to work if you are misusing this medication. This medication is available in Australia under special access scheme, which is S100, so it's not easily available. We can't just go to the doctor and ask for a doctor to prescribe this medication. And even if you do, you need to meet certain criteria, and the doctor could then apply for it to be imported to be used for that purpose. In America, of course, it's available. In South Africa, it's not available. So that's the ketamine. It's not a good way to criticize a person to use things that they've disclosed about themselves. So the receptors are, you must think of it as just the locks, and look at medication or neurotransmitters as the key. So when you actually use a medication like ketamine, it's a key that's unlock that receptor, NMDA receptor or opioid receptor, depending what's the intention for its used. And then send certain impulses, messages to your brain. If it's for mood, the mood is low, to improve your mood. If you have a lot of pain, to block some pain pathway so you don't feel any pain. So it's very important medication. That's how they explain the receptor in the brain. Think about it as your brain full of locks and keys. Locks is your receptors, the keys is the neurotransmitters or the medication that's meant to unlock that key, and the key that's unlock that lock, actually lock receptors, and the keys, neurotransmitters or the medication to be used to unlock the lock to have certain effects, like messaging, closing certain channels in the brain to enhance certain neurotransmitters or reduce certain neurotransmitters to balance the mood in the brain. Okay, not happy about this one. I know Elon Musk has been up of lately, been doing stuff that uncharacteristics. I'm not saying that he could be addicted. That's not my assessment. I don't know this person, but I'm just not happy that this one is being used against him. There's so many things you can criticize him for his behavior, his action, but not for what he's been taking for to help him manage his condition. But if the discussion was about how ethical he would be if he's under influence, but we then have to say he's definitely under influence. He's gone to the treatment somewhere. And if the question was about if we knew that that was the case, that would be fair to say, is it okay for CEO of a company to run a company while under influence? That would be a fair criticism if the discussion was about that. But it's not about that. And there's no reason for us to suspect that he's addicted to this. Okay, there's nothing. Okay. And I don't think it's a fair criticism either. It's one of those things that are similar to what I was saying there in the last video about the royal MAGA going after Meghan just for cooking and having fun with friends. I mean, honestly, this is crazy. So anyway, let's move on to the next clip. And the next clip is what she said there was that Elon Musk is a South African now, South African born. I noticed that a lot of the reporter are now reporting Elon Musk is South African born. And the reason why they're saying they're doing this, they do this a lot, or to a lot of migrants as well. They're saying this because of his behavior that it's embarrassing to them. He's linked to this far right, and he's fascist, and I realize he may be fascist for how he behaves, things he's been saying on X. And so they feel a bit embarrassed about him. Because they feel embarrassed, so therefore they trying to dissociate his behavior from American values. So they would then use this South African born in order to say this behavior, these values aren't our values, are South African values. It's interesting because in the past they've never actually, they would hardly mention South African born and raised. They would just say American billionaire, American success story, American entrepreneur. They would never attribute any of his success to South Africa. It's similar with migrants. Migrants would be classified as, if they've done something that is uncharacteristic, something wrong, anything that they do, like any wrong thing, anyone, find himself in doing something that's the society don't approve of. If that person was successful, had an important role, they would then try to dissociate that success from their country of origin, and then attribute those bad behavior to their country of origin. So when they're successful, doing well, they are ours. It's because of us. If they are doing something uncharacteristic, bad behavior, they're not from us. They are the other. They're from the other countries. They're not assimilating to the culture. They're not that. But all this time when they were successful, doing great things, they were ours. And it's very common in politics. It's also common in the media, in the Western media, this framing of people who are migrants. If they are successful, they are claimed. If they've done something worse or bad, they are from that country. They're not us. So when she said that, that's why she's doing that. But another thing that she's doing that would be to attribute him, to tie him to South African born and raised until the age of 17, because knowing the history of apartheid, South Africa, which was a fascist government, to try and attribute that fascist behavior that many think is a fascist behavior to South Africa. That would be another second reason why she would use this South African reference at this time, while in the past they would hardly mention it. because she was a successful billionaire entrepreneur. It was a positive framing. So anything positive, it's Western. Anything negative, it's African. Right. Let's move on to the next one. The next one that she talked about in that clip, small little clip, was about his, him receiving funding from the government.
Elon Musk is an untreated drug addict, South African born, welfare queen, sucks off the United States of America taxpayers to receive billions of dollars. He is dismantling the United States government.
Yes, South African born, welfare queen. I don't know. Welfare queen. Oh gosh. It's a welfare queen, Elon Musk. Okay, let's be serious, guys. Yeah, welfare queen. All right, why is she saying that Elon Musk is a welfare queen? Yeah, it could be because of the money that Elon Musk got to start Tesla. I mean, he bought Tesla from another person, and when he bought it using South African money, which is something that they don't mention here. That is also not a welfare queen for America. It's a welfare queen for South Africa. Okay, from his dad, he got money from South Africa. Okay, that money. And so would it attribute the money as South African money, even though he got it from the dad, knowing how we know the structure of apartheid, okay, how it was set up as a welfare essentially for white people. So that is what we would attribute the money he got from his dad. So she's not mentioning that in this interview. She's not mentioning that money, but he got money from South Africa from his father. He also, yes, he got some money from America, but that was a loan, and he paid that loan. However, subsequent to that, he's had a lot of contracts that are $1 billion, NASA, SpaceX. Yeah, it's fair to characterize him as actually a person who privatized the profit attributed to himself and actually socialize the risk. Meaning socialize the risk as the taxpayer, the American taxpayer, the South African taxpayer paid for it, and then they actually him successful being attributed to his success, his genius. He's a wealthy genius billionaire. If he felt that $1 billion that was given to him, he wouldn't pay that back. So yeah, that's how it works. So that would say, okay, that's a fair criticism to criticize him because he actually benefited from American taxpayer billions of dollars, more billions. So earlier on when he was doing this PayPal venture and other venture in America, it was everything was subsidized by South Africa. So from his father, who benefited from the apartheid welfare for white people in South Africa. So we can then attribute that to him, to that in the early years.